You sent me the PDF yesterday.
Yeah.
I read as much as I could in the last couple hours. But I thought the simplicity with which you laid this out was really kind of brilliant. Because basically, as I said at the top, you're giving people 12 sort of ways to stop being pathetic. I mean, that's what it really struck me as. So I just want to, we can hit each one.
Yes, written from the point of someone who tried to stop being pathetic. Because I'm not saying, look, you're pathetic and I got the answers. It's like, no. It's like, I got plenty of work to do on myself, you know, so.
Yeah, that's a key piece of this though, right? For you personally, that you're not walking around going, I'm perfect. And, you know, just 2 weeks ago, we spent a couple hours and we were talking about our own shortcomings and what we're struggling with and all that kind of stuff. And but you're open about it. So few people are open about it.
Yeah, well, I live in some terror of making a mistake, knowing full well that I'm perfectly capable of making that sort of mistake, you know, and I'm not saying or trying to act out the idea that I've got, what would you say, that I'm without error. That's just, no, we just won't go there. That's for sure.
Fair enough. So this first one, and again, there was a simplicity to this that I loved. So the first one, rule number 1, stand up straight with your shoulders back. I love that one as the first one because when I first started doing stand-up, I used to see a lot of guys hunched over the mic. Yeah. Really bad posture, well-known comics. And I always remember thinking, you got to stand up straight.
Yeah, well, you've got good posture. Just now.
I guess something happened. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. So you know, my wife is a massage therapist, and she's very physiologically aware, and so she's also helped me with this sort of thing. But we watch people on the streets all the time, and people in general now have very poor posture. And it's very bad for them.
Well, that's got to be phone related too, right? We're all
I think that's part of it, but I also think it's something our culture doesn't attend to. Like, you kind of have to remind your kids to stand up. You know, it takes a certain amount of conscious effort. But yeah, in that chapter, I talk a lot about lobsters, which I kind of have an affinity for lobsters, and because the short story is that when a lobster loses a fight, because they're fighting all the time for dominance, let's say, in their hierarchies, he kind of crunches down, so he looks smaller. When he wins a fight, he stretches out, looks bigger, and so he's signaling to other lobsters the tally of his victories, let's say. So if a lobster has won a fight, he's more likely to win the next fight than you would calculate from having a tally of all his previous defeats and victories. And if he loses a fight, then he's more likely to lose the next fight. So that's that Matthew principle at work. Okay, so you think, well, so what? So what does that have to do with anything? It's like, okay, part of the kicker is, well, the lobster runs on serotonin, neurochemical. And if the lobster loses, the serotonin levels go down, and if he wins, the serotonin levels go up. And when the serotonin levels go up, he stretches out, and he's a confident lobster. And one of the consequences of that is if a lobster loses a battle, and you give him the equivalent of antidepressants, then he stretches out and he'll go fight again. So antidepressants work on lobsters. Right. And you think, well, who cares? It's like, no, you don't get it. We diverged from lobsters from an evolutionary perspective 350 million years ago, and it's the same circuit. It's absolutely unbelievable. And that shows you how deep inside you, how basic, how primordial that circuit is in you, that's sizing other people up and looking at where they fit in the hierarchy. Well, with human society, it's more like hierarchies of competence than dominance per se. And like, if your serotonin levels fall, you get depressed, you crunch forward, and everything around you turns cloudy and black, and then you're inviting more oppression, right? And so you get into this bad loop. You know, and so it's really important to, if you're trying to get your act together, it's really important to stretch yourself out and sit up properly, because it's part of the psychophysiological loop that can start you on the upward curve. And so it's a really important thing to take note of. And like, if you've been bullied, say when you were a kid, maybe you've moved, and so it's sort of irrelevant. You're still carrying that with you in the hunched shoulders, and then you can't breathe properly, and your voice isn't right, and you invite more bullying, because the predator types are always looking for people who look like they can be intimidated, and who will make a nice fuss if they are, you know, like a nice gratifying, they'll make nice gratifying sounds of suffering if you torment them, right? Because that's what a bully really wants. And so that's what the first chapter is about. It's about hierarchy, and it's a